Hey, Dale, your librarian again. What are peer-reviewed scholarly sources? What does that mean? Are they valuable? Um, how do we differ from other less credible resources? Well, let's start from the bottom and work our way to the top. So the bottom being, oh, and I'll go back to this page, but this is like, what does a peer-reviewed journal mean? And does that mean anything? So when we first start out, we've got data. It's got value, but only in the context that it's in. So like 7 or a phone or 12 rhinoceroses. At any rate, you get the idea. Data standing without context is kind of like a free-floating entity. It's like a particle. Next stage up is somebody posting somewhere, like in a comments section or maybe in Facebook, but they have a pseudonym. So this one's Aromatic Ride 1020. And we know that they've got 39 post karma in Reddit. But this is somebody who's posting to an orthopedics Reddit, hoping to get advice. And there's no comments yet. Thank goodness, go to a doctor, Aromatic Ride. But anyone can post to these. Or it's kind of like there's an application process, but we don't know who's saying what. So famously in Utah, there was a mayoral candidate in, it was for like West Valley City, and they had a pseudonym and they were posting things like talking trash about their competition and saying, oh, this one candidate's great. So it's easy to screw with. Okay, next one. You might go to a place where you do have to identify yourself. But then it kind of depends. You don't get pushed up to the top unless you're like popular or viral. So is popularity a metric for something being good? Sometimes, but not always. So this would be like open posting, social media, and things like that. Sometimes people make lots of money. This is a person who has 22 subscribers, more than I've got. And there you go. We're working on our way to contextually valuable things that you can trust. The next one, other than self-publishing, is publishing for somebody who edits things. So Salt Lake Tribune, KSL, Deseret News, these are all local things. But if you could go to the larger venues like New York Times, San Francisco Chronicle, Denver Post, or even like there's even some like websites and social media places where you have to be somebody to post. That means somebody's representing what you have to say in the context. So in Salt Lake Tribune, we know who the audience is. And so they're not just going to publish any old somebody like Aromatic Ride 1020. They'd have to like make a case for what they're going to present for them to be published. If you go up to what scholarly is, it's where you have like authoritative authors. So we had some vetting process in an editor moment, but this one, the National Geographic, I used to think was a scholarly publication, but it looks and feels like one, and it uses the big words and things like that. But it's kind of along the same lines as Salt Lake Tribune. So beware that there's social constructions of validity. But then you get into what's called the trade journals. Trade journals are put out by all the different disciplines, and including like literal trades. So there's like plumbing, or there's like motorcycle shops that have journals. And you know the audience already has an expertise. So in this librarianship one, you know that you're going to get things that are affecting or important or that matter to, in this case, college and research libraries. There's a public library journal too. Quick pause. What about AI, Dale? Well, AI, if you wanted a metaphor, think of all of these different tabs that I've looked at, put through a sausage grinder, and then it kind of like using an algorithm that's always changing and content that's always changing. We don't know what it is because it's proprietary. Spits out something. So I asked, should I get a divorce from my chiropractor? And it jumped to conclusions where it was like, oh, no, you can't, are you sure you want to divorce your spouse? And I'm like, I don't want to divorce my spouse. I want to divorce my chiropractor. Maybe I should use a different word, fired. So it's kind of like this is a weird interspace. When you go all the way to peer-reviewed journals, this is where you have people who are in like the trades or they're in the specialty fields of study, but they represent one particular field in that they're checking all of the things that are being published. They're acting like an editorial board, if you will, but they're checking it on a really detailed level. So if you want to post an article to the Canadian Journal of Emergency Medicine, you got to get by the editors first, which means you have to have good proposal, good survey instrumentation or methodology, and all that other good scholarly stuff. And then they send it, they take your name off the paper, and then they send it to one of these, which are ostensibly emergency medicine scholars that will read the paper and say, does this contribute to the field of study of emergency medicine? If it does, then they pass it. If it doesn't, then it gets flushed back for a re-edit. So how do you find articles like this? Oh, by the way, going back to the sausage metaphor, ChatGPT, Gemini, and now what's that one from China, DeepThink or something like that? They're all taking things out of their context, and it's kind of intended to be really, really fast answers. So this is great for reference, but you don't get the evidence, you don't get the citations, you don't get the context, the background, the history, all that other stuff. So how do you find those articles? Here's how you do it. You can just type in anything. I'm going to type in, let's see, I'll type in Tay-Tay, Taylor Swift, because I know there's scholarly articles. You'll get what I've heard is called the bento box, where you can look up books or things like that. If you go to articles, all of the journals are indexed, so we can say, I only want peer-reviewed journals. What a great title. Let's just leave it at this one. So if you wanted a scholarly article about something related to Taylor Swift from a different perspective, you can get this one from Social Science and Medicine. There's tens of thousands of scholarly journals, so don't think that there's just like one or two, but there's like millions of articles written every year. This has been Dale, your librarian.